Today's Talk with Tyy Tuesday video is all about mastering detachment. This was something that I struggled with for so long because I always wanted to know the outcome to different things. I always was so focused on the future, the past, and never fully in the present moment. And it was very hard for me to detach from certain outcomes and just detach from anything that I knew was not serving me and that I did not need to give my energy to. So in today's video, I'm going to give you some tips on how to master detachment. So if you're interested, let's get right into it. Hey lovelies, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. My name is Tyla. Thank you so much for joining me today. So today's video is all about detachment, and once you can master detachment, you can master your emotions. So the reason why I say that detachment helps you to experience emotional freedom is because once you can detach from a person, place, space, or thing, you can start to protect your energy and not give your reaction to every single thing. So one major sign that you are too attached to certain situations is if you find yourself overthinking or replaying scenarios in your head. As somebody that honestly can be a chronic overthinker, this was one major thing that helped me to realize that I was not being able to detach from certain situations and things because I was constantly dwelling on whatever that situation was. If you're always replaying scenarios or thinking about something that's happened, you're not giving that space to detach from it. Another major sign that you may be too attached to things that you can't control is if you notice that you get anxious when things don't go your way. Now, realistically, of course, you're going to feel anxious or to feel a certain way when things don't go your way, but realistically speaking, things won't always go your way. So being able to practice detachment in these types of scenarios will really help you to detach from the outcome on things that you genuinely cannot control and be able to be more at peace. Now, another major sign that you may be attached to things that you can't control is if you find yourself trying to fix or change people, and this one applies more so to relationships and friendships. And the last sign that you may be attached to things that you can't control is if you find yourself holding on to situations that have happened in the past. So now let's go into the tips on how to start practicing detachment. So the key to detachment is to really just be grounded in the present. You cannot detach from something if you're too busy focusing on that thing. There's this saying that says, if you're thinking too much about the future, that creates anxiety. If you're thinking too much about the past, that creates depression. And the key is really to just stay as grounded in the present that you possibly can. Now, I like to do this in a lot of different ways, and it's going to be different for everybody. So do something that helps you to take your mind off of whatever it is that you seem to be attached to in that moment. So you want to make sure that you're focusing on things that you can control instead of focusing on the things that you don't have control over. And that is the main key, because if you're constantly focusing on things that you know that you don't have control over, it's just going to drive you crazy. Give yourself that freedom and that space from the situation to allow yourself to be free from whatever the outcome may be. Now, the second major important thing when it comes to mastering detachment is to start practicing better boundaries. So for me, as like a recovering people pleaser, it was very hard for me to set boundaries for myself, which would often leave me feeling very drained and very overwhelmed in different scenarios and situations. So once you can start practicing better boundaries, this is going to help you to protect your peace by not overgiving and extending yourself to situations, people, places, and things that do not deserve your energy. Another thing that really helped me also was to develop a sort of it is what it is mindset. Now, being that I used to be extremely anxious and wanting to control every little thing because I always wanted things to go in a certain way, once you start seeing that sometimes things often play out in the exact opposite of what you desire, you kind of start developing this mindset to where you're okay with whatever happens as long as it's for your highest good. Now, this one takes a little bit of practice because of course it is going to be disappointing when things don't go a certain way that you expected or that you desired, but you have to understand that everything at the end of the day happens for your highest good. And if you cannot develop that type of mindset, it's going to be very hard for you to practice detachment. Even when something seems to be a negative situation or negative outcome, you can alchemize that to be whatever type of situation you want for you, and you can make that work for your highest good. You do not have to dwell on the fact that you maybe have missed opportunities or that certain things didn't work out, because there's always going to be better that's going to come in replace of whatever it is that you're losing. And that was something that really helped me as well, because once I started to see that pattern and I started actually being okay with releasing things that did not serve me and letting go of things that I thought I wanted at the time and just releasing that control, I noticed that I would always align with things that were better, that were healthier, and that were more aligned with what I actually desire. But you have to be willing to release. You cannot be controlling, you cannot be overly attached, because if you are, it's going to be very hard for you to align with what you want if you're still keeping certain things that are blocking it from coming in your life and in your energy. Something that also helped me was to develop a more optimistic mindset. And it wasn't that I ever had a pessimistic mindset, but I did, in a sense that when things wouldn't go a certain way, I would dwell on it. And if you're a pessimistic thinker, 9 times out of 10, when you experience things in your life, even if it is something that's working for the best of you, you're going to see it in a negative way. And you're forever just going to be in this loop of constantly attracting things that you don't want and constantly being attached to things that are not serving you. So start having a more optimistic mindset. Start developing a belief and a self-concept that things always work out for your highest good. You have to also really make sure that you're reprogramming your subconscious mind for positivity and for positive outcomes. Because if you are a positive person, you're going to make anything negative into something positive because you have that optimistic mindset. Another major one is to not take things personally. And this is something that if you are a sensitive person, I would say can be a struggle, because oftentimes when something would happen, I would internalize it as it's me, it's my fault, unless it was actually my fault in a situation. But you cannot always take things personally that happen to you, because sometimes it's just other people projecting certain insecurities and beliefs and things onto you that has nothing to do with you. Now, this one is going to take some self-reflection and introspection, because you're going to have to determine whether or not something is genuinely on you or if it's just a projection from somebody else. So if you know that somebody has done something to you and it really negatively affected you, and you know that it was something that you genuinely did not deserve, then you do not have to carry that pain and those feelings. You do not have to stay attached to whatever it is that that person has tried to project onto you. So give yourself that freedom in knowing that you do not have to carry that energy, and you do not have to hold on to that, and you can detach from situations like that and give yourself the peace that you deserve in this situation. And last but not least, like I was mentioning earlier, is to just not be so future obsessed. Now, it is great, of course, to make plans for the future and to have certain things that you want in mind. But once you get to a point where you're noticing you're focusing too much on that, it's going to cause not only stress, but anxiety, and it's going to kill the joy from the present moment. So I do have an affirmation for you guys. The affirmation is, I release what I cannot control, and I trust that what is meant for me will stay. And if you guys practice these tips and you struggle with detaching from things, I promise you, you're going to be a pro, and it's going to be so easy for you that when a situation takes place in your life, you're really not even going to give it that much care or energy. You're going to be able to detach from it so easily. I was always very anxiously attached, oh my gosh, guys, you guys don't understand. It was honestly really annoying and stressful to me, because I just did not see how I can not care about certain things. I cared so much, and I put my energy and all into every single thing that I do, whether it's friendships, relationships, work, and it would always just leave me feeling so anxious all the time. And it wasn't until I started practicing these tips that I was able to master detachment. And now when something happens, it's like, okay, it happened. I trust that everything is going in the way that it's meant to. So I'm not even going to sweat it. I'm not even going to give it my energy, especially when it's draining me. Because when you are anxiously attached to things, that drains you so much, and you don't want to be in a position where you're constantly feeling anxious and drained all the time. And I think something that also was causing me to feel that way was because a lot of the time I did not know how to handle my emotions. I did not know how to work through my emotions, and doing that type of healing also helped me to be able to detach from things better. If you haven't done a lot of inner work and soul searching and just healing from different types of trauma as well, it's going to be very difficult for you to detach from things that happen in your outer reality. And when I think back on a lot of situations that I was extremely attached to, and just seeing where I am today, I did not need to worry about half of the things that I was worried about, and everything that I was struggling with and that I was going through, I've overcame, which is another reason why I don't attach myself to things as much anymore, and why it's easier to detach, because once you can realize that things are going to pass, whatever your situation may be, whatever it is that you're experiencing, you're not going to be in that place forever, and it's going to pass. The moment that you stop trying to control every single thing, life just gets so much easier and so much more peaceful. So make sure that you're always protecting your peace and you're always choosing yourself, and anything that feels just the slightest bit draining, release it, because you do not need that in your energy. So if you feel comfortable enough to share, you can comment down below what it is that you're releasing, and you can say it in the form of a affirmation or present tense. I am releasing such and such to claim it. And I do hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Peace and much love.